again, apologies for transitioning straight into item number 6 on your agenda. Was there any questions that I could field before we get into that?
There's a copy of that, so you can indicate on there where. And I gave them a copy of your letter, Brad.
Okay, very good, thank you. So, thanks for the handoff, Chuck, and Madam Chair, members of the committee. My name is Brad McCree. I'm a Hawkins County resident. Been here for 5 years. We love Hawkins County. In fact, for 3 of those 5 years, I owned an aircraft and kept it at the airport, and had a real good experience with that, such that I decided to upgrade. So I sold my airplane about 1.5 years ago, and I've been in the process of building an airplane, which has been an investment in resources. And my wife keeps asking me how much time have I spent on it. I will elaborate on that, but I would like to introduce my wife. This is Beth McCree. She's my best co-pilot, and I think she's here also to watch out that I don't commit to some sort of financial thing over my head. So here we are. So thank you for your willingness to review my request. I think the simplest drawing for us to look at is just the one that you got today. It's the big map, and it shows 3 numbers on it. And so what I would like to propose for your consideration is to build an all-metal hangar to accommodate a private aircraft. The dimensions of the hangar would be 40 by 40 feet square or 50 by 50 feet square. The hangar building would be pre-engineered, constructed on site. Again, all metal construction, probably a 50 or maybe 75-year design life. What I would like to do is give that hangar to the county in 50 years. So I'm asking for a 50-year ground lease so that I can assume all the risk, assume all the cost, assume all the maintenance to construct a hangar for private use. So I have looked at potential sites for the hangar. Site number 1 is my preferred site, shown on the drawing. Site number 2 to the west, or on the left side of the page there, that was a possibility that I looked at earlier, but the more I have studied that, I still would like to be on the right side of the paper or the east side of the main hangar. And I think the advice that I got and the information that I got from Chuck and from Mark Finley as recently as today has been very helpful in confirming that, because of your proposed construction activity, more so on the west side, it appears to me. So if you flip the page and look at the photograph, there are 2 existing hangar facilities that you see there with a gap in the middle. And so my request is for site number 1 to be built in that gap, which is about 75 feet from hangar to hangar. The width of my building would be 50 feet to allow room for construction and then maintenance. And if that were not a possibility to build on site number 1, then my next alternate site would be somewhere in the area where I've indicated on the map, site number 3, somewhere in that area. Because as I understand it, there could be plans for a future taxiway where site number 1 is indicated. And I'll stop right there and ask if you have any questions or if others want to comment.
Site number 3 will be close to the fuel. Will the fuel tank start?
No, sir, I don't think there are fuel tanks near the
The
site.
fuel, the fuel tanks are right in here on the screen.
Like number 3 is going to be out there next to that brick house, is where he's talking about number 3. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
It's
sir.
where the 17 is on this map, generally in that area.
Mark, you got anything you'd like to share?
We've got a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
We've learned a lot about the hangar leasing process in the past 20 years, of leasing hangars to the public on existing hangars. So we've got a lot of stuff. We've got a lot, we need to just sit down with our ACIP for the future and decide on where the airport's development needs to fall. If we're not careful in the case of allowing a spot to be leased like this, it could stymie up any possibility, any opportunities for us as a community to be able to build hangars. And that's really, at this point, but I think we need to intelligently approach this, because we didn't so intelligently approach it last time. We've also got some, what's fair market value, we need to lease the property to build a hangar. We need to talk about that. So I think we've still got a whole lot, but I think we need to put it into consideration. I think what we need to come up with too is a waiting list, as it were. You're number one. Once word gets out that we're allowing this to happen, this kind of action happen, we're going to have a bond in the law. A lot of folks will be approaching us to want to build hangars on the airport. That's the way it happened last time. It became a whoosh. It came out of the woodwork, as it were. So I think we will have to be very careful as to how we approach this. So, in my opinion, we need to spend some time and very carefully consider all options here. We learned about construction, how not to build a hangar. We see termite damage, those kind of things. So the metal construction, certainly. But again, nobody here is an expert on this kind of thing. So that's sort of my opinion on this. Today is not, we're crunched with a lot of information here at this meeting. You see, we barely were able to make a report. So we need to have full input from this. Chuck also has made some resources, some of their studies on what's fair market value and how to approach these kind of things. So we've got a ways to go. in my opinion.
Now, customarily, do we not, just lease those for 15 years?
For 20 years.
20 years, I'm sorry, 20 years.
So,
We currently, if you look at the sheet right here, it shows our hangars, the private hangars are on the back page. We currently have 3 that are coming up in 2024, actually a year from now, that will be county owned. The way that these hangars were all set up, for 20 years we haven't received any income from these hangars for 20 years. They've just been on our property, and of course they have taken care of them, but it hasn't benefited the county whatsoever because we've not received any income from those. We are looking at the fair market value of the land, even if you build your own hangar. Is that correct, Mark?
That's correct, that is correct, yes.
So then there would be the value of the land that he's putting his own hangar on. Although we won't have any money in the hangar, we own the land and we feel like we should get something for that land, for the land use. You wouldn't put a camping trailer in your front yard, Joey, for 20 years if you weren't going to get anything out of it, right? So that's kind of where we are. I agree with Mark that we need to sit down and come up with a long-term plan before we start the first one, because after we do make this decision, it'll be something we have to live with for everybody. Chuck has some fair market.
Yeah, as part of that systems plan that I was referring to again, which is right off of T-Dot Aeronautics website, it has the statewide market evaluation. So I'm going to give that to Sarah. I provided it to her digitally. This breaks down square footage that people typically are charging across the state. Now, it's not always apples to apples because each airport's different. The demand is different, the length of the runway, the amount of property they have to develop. But we have another initiative that's coming out that will study statewide in its entirety and update those. But that is a good litmus test for you to review for speculative square foot lease agreements. And it ranges anywhere from 18 cents to $2.90.
Yeah.
Again, it depends on the market. But you've got to start somewhere, so that's why I provide that to you.
If I could add, the initial cost estimates to build the hangar that I envisioned, these are rough order of magnitude costs, but we're talking about potentially $50,000 to $75,000 for the cost of this facility. I anticipate that after what I had hoped to have as far as 50 years access to it, I don't plan to be around 50 years from now, but at least for my estate and that sort of thing. It would take that amount of time with a significant investment to be able to get my investment out of it, as far as, what would be the equivalent of a monthly lease. I had not put a number down as far as the value for the land itself, for the ground lease aspect of it. Certainly willing to consider any feedback you all would give as far as a qualifier for that. Certainly willing to consider a lesser term for the lease, but the more from my initial position that I get those sorts of inputs, it may turn the financials south for me to make it unattainable for me to do it. And so what I'm asking you for today is not permission to call a contractor and get a hangar going. I'm asking for your willingness to consider it, to give me a conceptual go-ahead. I guess maybe another way to say that is to not say no to me this afternoon, and let's see if we can maybe take a next step where I can get some title bid information. I could understand that you might be open to the area around where I have indicated where 1 and 3 are on my little crude drawing and so on. So, what do you think?
And you can answer this better than anybody, I guess. Number one is when these two buildings right
Yes,
here, how would that affect the expansion of the airport?
If you look at Chuck's drawing there, our airport layout plan, you see those two buildings, number 5 and number 6, that are on the farm.
Let me do one thing, Mark. Sorry, I'll turn the field back on because I realize that's hard to see.
And you see that area that Chuck's highlighted there was pointer, that would be a right-of-way passage for hangars that are built.
I'm getting at how much impact it have on.
If we built in that area, it would shut down the opportunity to be able to build those hangars any further south there. Again, that's what that area was designated for originally, was as a right-of-way between the hangars for, the possibility of future development on the south side.
And what we were looking at also is future growth at the airport, and then generating some more income, because right now our income is not a whole lot, so we're looking at, and if we did additional hangars that we built, then we could rent those out for substantially more than what we can get if we just let someone come in. Because if we give you the hangar for 50 years, even though you invested $75,000 in it, if that was the max that you did, then we would have to look at, in 50 years, what would be, what would be the condition or the value of it.
Sure.
And so that's kind of what we're looking at also.
Of course, it's $125 a month thing for us for 50 years, $75,000. Yeah, I think we've got to be very careful because we don't have a lot of space on the airport for future development. I mean, we sort of roll off the ends on each end of the airport and go to the south side there. So any development that we decide in the future that we may decide is only limited to a very small area. So I think we've got to be careful about this. It's time to get our opportunities here. Or maybe, wishing for, we've been wishing one hand and the other.
Well, that was my concern with number one here, is that small space and then what was behind it.
That's right.
And close that expansion off, that possibly would be down the road. And, your proposal.
Yes, sir. What's interesting to me is, and I had not seen this drawing before I prepared this exhibit, but the 3 correlates pretty well to the 17 here. So, Chuck, you have a a text capability. Could you put my name on 7?
Oh, Brad, if you don't mind, what creature are you flying? I needed to, just design group. It makes a wing clearance and taxiway.
Sure, it's a Vans RV-9A. 28-foot wingspan, length of 20 feet.
28 wing, do you say?
Yes, sir.
Is there space at the airport as it is for you to house your plane?
Mark has graciously allowed me to lease space from him in the past, and he indicated that even now he would be willing to give me a spot in the hangar. So
I'm checking my phone. I don't think I've ever been.
Okay, sure.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Mark Henley, and he manages the airport for us.
Mark, so what is the going rate to lease a spot in the hangar right now for an aircraft such as this?
For what we call a gang hangar, number 4 is an 80 by 100, 8,000 square foot hangar. We keep roughly 10 airplanes in the time. We rent a spot in there for $140 a month. If you move over into a T hangar, and that's the old seat number 2, it's an individual hangar. Those rent for $160 a month. Now we're well under what our neighboring airports, rent those kind of spots. So, to give you an idea, between $150 and $200 a month at most other airports. So we're quite a bit under what.
Is it really and once again, I know zero, but airplanes are
It's simple.
but with that, if you have that hangar with, you said 2 airplanes in it right now, is it pretty simple for pilots to get in and out, taxi in and out of those, or?
Therein lies part of the problem. The gang hangar is not so accessible. To pull 1 out, you got to pull 6 out. And that's why it's more attractive for a single, hangar, a T hangar, kind of configuration.
Which is what you're, just,
Yes.
so it'd be easier to keep your plane in and out.
Absolutely right.
And it seems that it would, over the span of 50 years, cost you less.
Right.
How many of the hangars that up there, you've got planes in as of right now, that live in Austin County?
All of our residents. We have 1 person that lives in Keysport that rents one of our spots, but everyone that rents a hangar is
Yeah,
in.
still got one of them.
Yes. Yes, so everyone is Jeff Jackson. So he's our Keysport resident.
Madam Chair, I have no idea.
Okay.
I think.
Why don't we,
For me, I think I'd like to study it all.
yeah, why don't we, just do I have a motion that we kind of put this on hold right now, get some additional information, do a workshop of some kind for the whole committee to be here. I know that, Tom, you've never been on the airport committee before, have you? And you've never been on it, Joey's never been on it, Josh has never been on it. So I think what we're gonna have to do is sit down and let Mark give us a lesson in airport.
You bet. What we've learned from,
And,
recent hangars
and-
from 3 years.
If we
And
could
go-
just do a workshop,
Yeah.
where we don't make any decisions, we just get the ground, just
Yeah.
basic information. I just need to learn something.
And Chuck, do you think you'd be able to attend something like that, or could we ask you questions today?
I feel questions today or come up here, kind of.
I'd like for the committee to know.
I think that'd be great to have a workshop at the airport. I would love to say I have some questions. I don't know what questions I have.
I'd like for you guys to know what our plan is for teenagers. To that plan.
One thing they're getting at is, that I'm looking at is, the committees make up 7 members. Well, that's half the county commission.
Yes.
So if we had 2 more members here, that would complete this committee. And we still couldn't make a decision today because all of them thrown into,
It wouldn't be fair.
but I agree agree the workshop is the route to go. And if all seven members agree through a workshop, then we'd only need one more vote through the full county commission to pass what it would be.
Madam, I would say one thing that I had the privilege of visiting, that once I saw that I was on the committee, when Mark came up there, Mark graciously showed me everything, that I've got an education to a point that needs to be renewed.
Sure.
I saw the problem of your wanting to plane in and having to move and get yours out. And, it takes time, so.
Yeah, I'm positive the template that the airport was built on, and Chuck probably backed this up, was that the large hangar, the gang hangar, would facilitate a corporation, with that large airplane. And the tool room alongside, large airplane. And so, would that be correct to say, Chuck? It probably wasn't designed as a gang hangar, more to store one large airplane, would be my guess.
When they were built in the 60s, all these airports, that was the model right there with the 100 by 100 with the lean-to, and for your larger birds. It wasn't group storage. The T-hangars, which are shown there to the left, and that's kind of hard to see, but that was your development path for individual storage as far as your airport layout plan goes. And that's what's on your capital improvement plan, is develop this area over in that area. But will take some fill and some time and some money. And you've got a sizable project this summer, as I said. That's what you're in blue. That's what your runway is going to start to look like. We're getting rid of the red. And again, that's non-standard connection. We'll build just the U-shaped right here this summer. And then you'll be compliant with FAA safety standards, and your terminal apron will be reconstructed. But that doesn't fix, your dilemma today is whether to let, this area to be developed first, that area, which you could squeeze some 50 by 40s in. Where does the county want to spend its money? On the T-hangars, that's all on you all.
Okay.
I did want to zoom in right there just one more, and I will be quiet the rest of the meeting, I promise. It looks like you can squeeze some 50 by 40s right in there and share the common turf apron, or you could egress out this way. NFPA requires a 50-foot building separation, so you meet it there. So you have developable space here. This would require fill to egress toward the T-hangars, or not so much fill if you wanted to use a turf apron. You could fit 4 hangars there. It's just food for thought.
Chuck, if I may, I actually had a question for you as well. I'm not an airport expert by no means, but I thought at some point I was told about priority and the state having safety as a priority. If we didn't address safety concerns first, then we weren't eligible for future grant monies. Did I understand that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
And with this standards project that you have this summer, after that you'll be able to use your non-primary entitlement, which is a $150,000 grant each year. You could start looking at your T-hanger site. You have some bipartisan infrastructure law money that will come to you each year. So you have funding mechanisms from us to help you with, to a certain extent. But, as far as putting red iron up, that's going to be a tough road for the state of Tennessee to help with any near term.
So being the money guy, I love revenue producing as much as anybody, but if we don't take care of safety concerns and focus our money there first, we can shoot ourselves in the foot pretty considerably. Not that I don't like the prospect of that in the future, but I think we better make sure we take care of the things we have to take care of and make sure we got those ducks in a row before we expand.
And this is going to take care of all of our safety concerns, is it not?
The bids in hand and the grant application that's already before the state of Tennessee will address all of your remaining safety issues.
It's a sealed deal.
So does that include the
So
full
after we
taxiway?
finish this
Is that
project,
what all
we
the
will
rules
be
is?
good as far as
That's
safety.
the planning diagram. That's not the construction plan. The construction plans are on the table. It's only the U shape.
The U-shape for the
Yeah, the red is the safety violation.
45-degree.
According to the federal statistics, that is not a safe situation. I don't think anybody's ran out in Hawkins County and had got run over, but it's a federal standards. I'm not knocking who I work for, but that's our rules now. You can't do that anymore.
Okay, with that being said, and because we do need to be educated a little bit more, thank you so much for coming and let us do a little bit of work and a little bit of studying and getting some more input from these two guys and have you come back and then we can discuss it again.
Well, thank you, ma'am. I'll do the same. I'll sharpen my pencil a little bit with numbers and talk to some building.
We appreciate your
Interest.
attention, and hopefully we can work everything out, but not with them, we need to have a workshop. And I would, actually, you need to do, I'll ask or if I need to put in the form of motion that you schedule a workshop with the,
Let's just go ahead and do the
get
formal
this done.
motion, so, yeah, okay.
That's it.
All right. So we got a motion, to schedule a workshop from Charlie and seconded by Tom, all in favor?
Can I make a suggestion?
Yes, sir.
We won't put
Any
that.
discussion?
Would it be possible, Mark, for us to have a workshop at your facility?
Absolutely.
I think we're on there firsthand,
So we can visualize.
Oh,
Yeah.
and yea or nay, and would that be,
That, yes.
Absolutely.
Would it be a problem also doing about 5 o'clock when we can get off? We out of work.
Yeah.
We can't just,
Yeah, I do too, occasionally.
yeah. So, is there a problem with that?
The only thing that I would say, and that would help me out a lot too, Eric won't be able to be there if we do that, because the mayor's office, they close down 4:30.
Four.
But we'll be going up there.
Sorry.
I'm past time right now.
Sorry.
Me and Sarah both, that's all right.
Any overtime?
So with that, I.
It's 2:30 my time.
Commissioner Craig, if you want to send a number, on Jason Roach, my number's public, feel free to give me a call, and I'd love to.
It's not published yet, we're at the,
Let me say this, as a citizen of Hawkins County, thank you for your service to the county, to the airport community. And I'm a civil engineer. If there's anything I can do to help you all as a citizen, please let me know.
plans for you.
Thank you for
Thank you.
consideration.
Thank you.
Is all.
Okay, is that what we're gonna decide on? May 25th, 5 o'clock, airport? Is that work with you, Mark?
Oh, yeah.
Sure, sorry.
Got it down.
We may have to get you $2 million. $2.